my face when I'm with you, but I love it. But the only time I'd ever call you, I'm a motherfucking star boy. I feel it coming, baby. I feel it coming. Ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. Save your tears for another day. That's it that I want to give you right now. I'm gonna make sure everybody's good, get your money back, but I'll do a show real soon for you guys. I don't know if I want to be in that place anymore. It gets to a point, you know, where I don't know if I'm doing it for the right feelings anymore.
What happens when your superpower fails you in front of 80,000 people? When the voice that built an empire suddenly vanishes and you're left facing the one thing you've been running from your entire career, yourself. Abel Tesfaye didn't just lose his voice that night at SoFi Stadium. He lost something much deeper. And what happened next? Nobody saw it coming. But before we get there, you need to know two things that will change everything you thought you knew about The Weeknd. First, the darkest secret hidden in his lyrics isn't what you think it is. And second, the real reason he's burning his persona to the ground will leave you speechless. Like I cry for you, every night for you. Born on February 16, 1990, in Toronto, Canada, to Ethiopian immigrants Makonnen and Samarwit Hailu, Abel Makonnen Tesfaye grew up in Scarborough, a neighborhood that would shape everything he'd become.
I really represent, where I come from and the culture that I'm from, because there aren't many Ethiopian artists, like American, Canadian, pop artists.
His parents separated when he was young, and he was raised by his mother and grandmother, who spoke fluent Amharic at home. Even today, Abel speaks the language fluently, a connection to roots that would later influence his artistic vision. But Toronto in the early 2000s wasn't kind to dreamers. At 17, Abel dropped out of high school. No backup plan, no safety net, just a burning need to escape something he couldn't name yet.
I didn't think I had a good voice for a while, until a close friend of mine told me that I had an okay voice, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the validation I need for that, so I dropped out of high school.
He was working at American Apparel, folding shirts for minimum wage, when something shifted.
I was working at American Apparel. I was trying to fold clothes.
People started playing his music in the store, his own music, and nobody knew it was him standing right there folding their clothes. That was the validation he needed. The next day, he quit.
But at the time, nobody knew what I looked like, because I was, I didn't show my face. Yeah. Just my music was out, and I had like a little bit of local clout.
What happened next would change music forever. In December 2010, 3 songs appeared on YouTube under the name The Weeknd. No face, no biography, just a voice that sounded like it was bleeding through your speakers.
I only call you when it's half.
The internet went crazy trying to figure out who this mystery artist was. He spelt it The Weeknd because some other band already had The Weeknd taken, but that missing E would become one of the most recognizable brands in music. By March 2011, House of Balloons dropped. Not on a label, not through traditional channels, just there. 9 tracks of dark, atmospheric R&B that sounded like nothing else on the radio. Drake, already a superstar, co-signed it immediately. Questlove from The Roots called it a game changer.
Actually, Quest, OG, he's one of the first people to co-sign House of Balloons. I gotta shout out Questlove.
Then came Thursday in August 2011.
Baby, don't cry.
And Echoes of Silence in December 2011. 3 mixtapes in 1 year. His first trilogy was complete. But here's what most people don't know. These weren't just mixtapes. They were chapters in a story Abel was telling about a character spiraling through darkness, drugs, and toxic relationships. A character that would haunt him for over a decade.
Of course, a lot of it is a character. Yeah. A lot of it is real life experience. I felt like I've experienced enough before my career started in at that point, 21 years of living. I have enough experience to write the rest of my catalog and continue whatever story that is that I'm telling.
He says Lana Del Rey is the subject of all his songs. Not literally, but the idea of her, the darkness, the cinematic quality. They discovered each other online, posting on Tumblr, and realized their lyrics were having a conversation nobody else could hear. When they finally collaborated years later, it felt inevitable. September 2012 brought Trilogy, the official release of all 3 mixtapes, and Abel signed with Republic Records. But he did something unusual. He maintained creative control, complete control, because he'd watched too many artists get swallowed by the industry. His debut studio album, Kissland, arrived on September 10th, 2013. It was claustrophobic, dark, and deeply personal. Critics were split. Fans were confused. Where was the commercial sound everyone expected?
Kissland, I think people expected Beauty Behind the Madness after Trilogy. Yeah. A commercial artist, and I kind of gave him the curveball. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to give you an extension of Trilogy and kind of let the world know that I'm still doing this as well.
But he didn't care. He was still learning who he was on stage, battling crippling anxiety by drinking a bottle of Hennessy before every show. At Coachella 2013, he watched himself perform drunk and hated what he saw. So he did something crazy. He booked 100 shows back to back and taught himself to perform sober, to face the audience, to face himself.
It wasn't until my first Coachella show that I actually watched it and saw how I performed and hated my performances. I instantly hit on my agent at that time, Joel Zimmerman. You need to book me 100 shows. And after that Coachella festival, I was performing nonstop.
Here's where things get interesting. Abel has always been inspired by Japanese culture and cinema. His albums aren't just music projects, they're films without cameras, and he was building towards something nobody could predict. August 28th, 2015, Beauty Behind the Madness dropped, and everything exploded. The Hills became his second #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100, a raw confessional that showed Abel wasn't interested in cleaning up his image for mainstream success. The song's dark production and unapologetic lyrics about infidelity struck a nerve. Then came Can't Feel My Face, which reached #1 and became a global phenomenon. I can feel my face when I'm with you. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. A song about cocaine addiction disguised as an upbeat pop anthem. Tom Cruise literally performed it on national television. That lip-sync battle performance helped push Can't Feel My Face to record-breaking heights. And Abel, he still hasn't met Tom Cruise, but he promises he'll return the favor someday.
I definitely saw that. It actually helped the song. I mean, thanks to him, obviously. Never met him. No, I'm a huge Tom Cruise guy, though.
Earned It from 50 Shades of Grey earned him an Oscar nomination. 4 Grammy wins followed. He was suddenly everywhere, the mysterious artist who'd broken every rule about how pop stardom worked. But success came with a cost nobody talks about.
That's what the music industry is, right? They want your sadness. It's gotta be a really good, sad song. I don't know if I wanna be in that place anymore because I don't know if I'm doing it for the right feelings anymore.
He started asking himself a dangerous question. Was he creating darkness because it was authentic, or because the industry wanted his sadness? To write the best heartbreak songs, did he need to stay broken? November 25th, 2016, Starboy arrived, featuring Daft Punk. I'm a motherfucking starboy. Every day you try to test me, The title track shot to #1, becoming his 3rd chart topper. The collaboration happened almost by accident. Abel had known Guy Manuel through the French electronic music scene, through Kavinsky and that whole wave. When they invited him to Paris, magic happened in 3 days.
So being able to work with them, it felt like a bucket list. And then we got into the studio and literally did Starboy, and I feel like coming in like 2-3 days.
The drums for Starboy came from a loop Guy Manuel had on his phone.
I can hear drum loop every time, you know, Thomas is like, okay, next take. So I'm like, what the f is that? What is that sound? So I walk in and it's Guy-Man on his phone and it's the drums of Starboy, which is like, I'm like, what is that? He's like, no, it's just something on my phone. I'm like, put that shit on the fucking speakers.
The song Abel thought was just a cool vibe. His team heard the next single, and they were right. I Feel It Coming, also featuring Daft Punk, gave him another massive hit from the same album.
Thomas and Guy-Man had already started a track, which was I Feel It Coming, which was just the music. I was writing the lyrics to I Feel It Coming, and then probably finished it in about an hour.
But something else happened during Starboy. Abel cut off his signature hair. That wild Basquiat-inspired mane everyone associated with The Weeknd. His team panicked. "That's who you are," they said. He cut it anyway the next day.
I remember when I had my crazy hair, like that Basquiat hair. And one day I was like, to my team, I just want to cut my hair off. Yeah. It's uncomfortable. And they're like, no, don't do that. That's who you are. Yeah. I was like, well, cut it the next day.
Yeah. Because he refused to be handcuffed to a persona, even if that persona made him famous. His personal life became tabloid gold. He dated Bella Hadid from April 2015 to November 2016. Then came Selena Gomez from January 2017 to October 2017, a relationship that played out under brutal media scrutiny. Then back to Bella from April 2018 to August 2019. Each relationship dissected, analyzed, turned into content. But here's what people missed. Abel was documenting his own emotional destruction in real time, and we were all watching. March 29th, 2020. After Hours dropped during a global pandemic.
Wasting all of my time, I'm living my fantasies.
The album featured Blinding Lights, which would become the most streamed song in Spotify history, almost 5 billion streams. The song spent a record-breaking 90 weeks in the Billboard Hot 100's top 10. It became the biggest song of his career, surpassing even his previous chart toppers. Save Your Tears from the same album gave him another #1 hit in 2021, proving his commercial dominance wasn't slowing down.
I don't know why I run away.
But the album art showed something disturbing. Abel's face beaten, bloody, bandaged. This wasn't just an aesthetic choice. This was the beginning of a transformation nobody understood yet. January 7th, 2022, Dawn FM arrived, conceived as a radio station playing in purgatory.
You are out of time. You're almost there, but don't panic. There's still more music to come.
Jim Carrey narrated, Quincy Jones made an appearance. The concept was ambitious, weird, beautiful. Abel was pushing boundaries again, refusing to repeat himself. But behind the scenes, something was breaking.
When it goes tough, you just sit down. You're not Superman. We're all human. You can't perform your way out of, whatever issues you're going through. So I think that's what this film was. A very cathartic piece of art for me.
The pressure was building, self-imposed pressure, the kind that doesn't show up in blood tests or x-rays. He'd performed through deaths in his family, breakups, high fevers. His voice was his superpower, his escape hatch from reality.
I've always been able to perform through it. I've been through deaths in the family, breakups, high fevers, and I still somehow was able to go on stage and perform. My voice was my superpower.
For 90 minutes on stage, he could shut off everything and just perform, until he couldn't. At SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, in front of 80,000 people, Abel's voice failed him, not because of nodes or damage or any physical injury.
When I lost my voice in front of 80,000 people, yeah. And when we found out that it wasn't an actual physical injury. So I could have continued. It might have been like a mini breakdown or something. Yeah.
His body was telling him something his mind refused to hear. Stop. Slow down. You're running from something you need to face. When they discovered it wasn't a physical injury, that's when the real terror set in. Because if it wasn't his vocal cords, what was it? What was his mind trying to tell him?
Me losing my voice was, my universe telling me, you got nothing else to say. So take care of yourself and then come back.
Most artists would hide this moment. Abel decided to make a movie about it.
This film was probably a stepping stone for me to be like, all right, there's something wrong with this person. He needs to face himself. They need to face each other. And he gets to be reborn.
Working with director Trey Edward Schultz, he created Hurry Up Tomorrow, a psychological thriller about a pop star losing his voice and his mind simultaneously.
I have to go right now. I'm getting calls. I have to catch a flight. I'm on a tour.
But here's the wildest part. Abel had to finish songs the day before shooting scenes where he'd performed them a cappella. Talk about pressure.
I do sing in the film. I had to sing in the film, but my album wasn't done yet, so I had to finish songs like day before scenes.
The film became his therapy session. Every dark thought, every moment of self-doubt, every question about whether he was creating pain just to make sad songs that sell, he came up with In the Night in Marilyn Monroe's old bedroom. he became the first artist to hold the top 3 positions on the Billboard Hot R&B chart simultaneously. He'd achieved everything. So why did success feel like drowning? Jenna Ortega co-stars in Hurry Up Tomorrow, playing the stranger who forces Abel's character to confront himself. Barry Keoghan appears. The cast is stacked, but the real performance is Abel finally admitting that The Weeknd, the persona he created at 20 years old, might be killing the person underneath. At what point does the sadness become performance? When do you stop writing from experience and start creating experiences to write about? These are the questions that haunt the film and haunt Abel.
Telling my body to just slow down. Me being like, just stop overthinking, you know, stop working. You did it. You did it. I mean, you see it in the movie. He has everything. He has a stadium full of fans. He has, you know, people that work. You have it all, you know? So be grateful for what you have.
The album Hurry Up Tomorrow, released on January 31st, 2025, runs 84 minutes, 22 tracks, the final chapter in his second trilogy, After Hours, Dawn FM, and now this. Peter Jackson and George Lucas made trilogies. So did Abel.
It's a part of a trilogy. It's After Hours, Dawn FM, and then Hurry Up Tomorrow is like the final chapter to this trilogy. And you know, me, I'm a fan of epic sagas, so I want to give my fans a full meal. Peter Jackson and George Lucas, and I wanted to give them like my own.
But his conclusion isn't heroic. It's a man setting himself on fire to be reborn. The film Hurry Up Tomorrow hit theaters on Friday, May 16th, 2025. But Abel's already thinking about what comes next. He has a tour to finish. He can't completely kill The Weeknd yet. People bought tickets.
My fans are so dope. I mean, we still sold out the O2 Arena.
This isn't the first time he's been reborn. Remember the hair? That was practice. This is the real transformation, burning everything that kept him famous but miserable. In his personal life, Abel has been in a relationship with Simi Khadra since 2021, though the couple keeps their relationship relatively private. He has no children, having stated in multiple interviews that he's focused entirely on his art and isn't ready for that chapter yet. His life remains consumed by the work, by the constant evolution, by the need to keep moving forward before the darkness catches up. As of 2025, The Weeknd's net worth sits at approximately $300 million. He has 27 songs with over 1 billion streams on Spotify, more than any artist in history. 4 Grammy Awards, an Oscar nomination. His biggest hit songs that defined his career include Can't Feel My Face, 2015, which brought him into the mainstream, The Hills, 2015, his raw confessional anthem, Starboy featuring Daft Punk, 2016, which showcased his evolution, I Feel It Coming featuring Daft Punk, 2017, Blinding Lights, 2020, the most streamed song in Spotify history, and Save Your Tears, 2021, which proved his staying power at the top. His major screen appearances include Uncut Gems, 2019, where he played himself in a memorable cameo, American Dad, 2020, lending his voice to the animated series, The Idol, 2023.
Let me catch you looking at her again. Let me catch you looking at her again.
His controversial HBO series where he starred and executive produced, and Hurry Up Tomorrow, 2025, his first leading film role. But none of that matters if you've lost yourself creating it. So what's next for Abel Tesfaye? He doesn't know. And for the first time in his career, that doesn't terrify him. Maybe that's the real superpower. Not the voice, not the numbers, the courage to stop running from yourself long enough to figure out who you actually are when nobody's watching. The film ends with fire, purification, rebirth, and Abel walks away from the camera towards something we can't see yet. The Weeknd is dead. Long live Abel Tesfaye, whoever he decides to become when the lights go out and the crowd goes home, and there's nobody left to perform for except the person staring back at him in the mirror, asking the question he's been avoiding his entire career. Was any of it real? Only time will tell.